Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Manifesting Muslimah. My name is Zara Pedersen and today we're going to be talking about how you can get started using the law of attraction. This is going to be a really information-filled episode, and what I'm going to do today is basically just go through all the steps. I'm going to get a little bit of explanation, of course, to each of the steps that you can do, but I will 100% later on, as it is, because this is just the beginning, I will later on delve much deeper into each one of the topics that I touch on today. So don't worry if there's something that you're like, oh, I'd like to know more about that. I will circle back on that and I will talk about that a little bit later on. Okay, so how do I start using the law of attraction? Well, the first step is what we did in last episode, where we spoke about what the law of attraction actually is, what a manifestation actually is, and how to use the law of attraction as a Muslim and how it relates to Islam. That is the very first and most basic step. You need to have a very basic understanding at the very least if you want to use the law of attraction. And in saying that, I also think it's really important, as I also mentioned in the previous episode, that you understand that each coach or guru or book or method or whatever it is might have a different angle at speaking to what the law of attraction is. So make sure that you agree with their take on it, because there might be things that they do that you feel like that doesn't quite resonate with me. So it's really important, as the very basic thing to do, to understand what it is, that it aligns with your values that you already have in place. And then from there, hopefully also that takes into consideration your religious aspects, because not all of them do. Okay, so the second step to that is to understand that you're already using the law of attraction. You've been using it since you was a kid. And this is just because you're constantly vibrating some energies out into the world and to other people. It's kind of like saying, you go to a place and then you see someone, you've never met them before, and you get good vibes or bad vibes from them. And those vibes are exactly what you're giving out all the time. Now, it's not just other people who pick up on it, it's also animals, and it's also just the world itself and the universe itself that picks up on these vibes, right? So you've been doing it whether you like it or not your whole entire life. The thing that we want to do now is take this law of attraction, and instead of using it subconsciously, we're going to start using it more consciously. So we want to use the law of attraction with a clear intention, so that we're not attracting and manifesting based off of old beliefs or traumas or something in the past that's kind of just stuck, and that we're now, without perhaps even realizing it, vibrating those energies out and in return getting them back again from the universe. Okay, so that's step number 2. Step number 3, after you realize that you're already doing it, so you're doing it anyway, so it's not about how I can start using it. Now it becomes, how do I start to using it with more intent, so more purposefully using the law of attraction to my advantage, rather than just kind of see what happens, what I throw out there and what comes back, and that will kind of be a reflection for me as to what I'm putting out there. Okay, so now comes the time where it gets a little bit interesting, because this is the point where you need to start assessing your life a little bit. This is the point where you start looking at your life, looking at points in your life that you feel like, I want to elevate this, or I want to change that, or there's something in your life that you feel like this could be better, and I know what that next better step would be. Okay, so that's the first step, assessing your life. And then while you're assessing your life, you might already know what's some things that come to your mind are like, okay, this is what I want to get, or this is the goal, or this is the intention, where I want to get, the destination, whatever it might be. Quite often for a lot of people, it's money. And today we're going to use money as an example, but it could be anything. Remember that. It can also be about your physical appearances, your weight. It could be about your living circumstances, your material possessions, what you own versus what you don't own. It can be in terms of a relationship. It could be a personal relationship, as in with a spouse or a partner, or it could be a friendship or family members. It can be literally anything. So remember that. So while I speak about money, I'm just going to speak about money today because it's such an easy example to go off of, because I don't think I've met a single person who doesn't want to manifest more money into their lives. Okay. So that's the example we're going to go with today. So once you've assessed your life and you start making the goals, you'll already probably have some. The trick to doing this properly, and it's very important to understand, is to make it realistic. Okay, especially if you're new to law of attraction and you haven't really done it before, or you haven't felt very successful doing it in the past. So the trick is to make it realistic. And this is where I see a lot of people going wrong from the get-go, because obviously, if I tell you, you can think of anything in the world and it'll come true, we're not going to say, I'd like another $10. We're going to say, I'd like $1 million, please, or 10 million. Fuck it. I want to be a billionaire, right? Like, we want to go to that, like the ultimate level. But the thing about that is, and the mistake about that is, we're not believing in it. At that point, it's still so unrealistic to us in our minds, in our belief system, that we can just manifest something out of nothing. So when we set these goals, it is so important that the goal is a realistic one for you as well, where you can start slowly chipping away at the old belief system and putting a new, more helpful belief system in place so that you can get to those next steps. Now, it's okay to set a goal that scares you a little bit, but again, instead of saying $10, say maybe £500, or I don't know, dollars. I don't know what currency we're working in at the moment. I'm everywhere. But it's very important that you make a goal that is still very realistic for where you are right now, and a goal that you can believe in. If you don't believe in it, you've lost already. Like, there is nothing to attract, because you're then focusing on the fact in your belief system that this is not possible. So of course, that is the result you're going to get back from the universe. And again, we're going to put quotation marks around universe, because of course, as we mentioned in the previous episode, it's not the universe that gives us the things, it is God. By the will of God, there is this law called the law of attraction that can help us get to the points in life that we want, and achieve the desires that he has put within us. And so the next step after you've assessed your life and set some realistic goals for yourself is to assess your belief system, and then obviously work on it. And there we come back again to the whole realistic goals thing. So maybe I'm actually not completely done talking about this point, because when you assess your belief system after you've set your goals, you can then figure out, okay, maybe I need to start adjusting my goals slightly because it's too much of a chunk of a belief system to work on in order for me to get to that goal. Or I can work on a little bit of it and see some result and then adjust my goal as I go along. But what often tends to happen is you'll set yourself a goal, and immediately you should be able to feel something inside yourself, either being like, oh my God, this is so exciting, it's going to happen. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Or it's going to be more of a sense of dread from within that's kind of saying like, yeah, this is stupid. It's never going to work. I'm afraid of being seen. I'm not worthy, whatever, blah, 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 whatever it relates to. And in this case, of course, money, that we using as an example. So as soon as you set your goal, see what comes up for you. That's the easiest way to assess your belief system around the goal that you've set. And that is, again, as we spoke of in the last episode, the core function of the law of attraction is look at your belief system, because it is all based on your belief system, what you put out there, because that fuels your thoughts, your actions, how you speak to people, what you dream of. Everything comes down to how you believe about yourself. So make sure you go ahead and you take a really good close look at this. This is probably also the thing that'll take the most time for you. It doesn't mean that you have to get stuck on this step, but it does mean that it will require you to sit down with this for a while. You can use journaling. You can go to a manifestation group where you work together on it. There are therapists, of course. If it's something that is much bigger than something that you feel like you can handle on your own, then I definitely recommend, seeing somebody who is more professional to help you, guide you through those belief systems, so that again you can work through them and get onto the other side and hopefully adopt some healthier belief systems instead. And once you've done that, this is very, very exciting. This is the part where you start taking action. Okay, this is where you hear a lot of coaches and gurus talk about inspired action. You got to take inspired action. And if you remember from last episode, we spoke about, or I briefly listed the 12 universal laws, and one of them also spoke about inspired action. So it's actually another law that you're going to take in in using the law of attraction, you can also use a different law to help further the law of attraction and the manifestation into your life. Now, inspired action means what's the next step to do? What's the next step to do? So instead of just sitting around and hoping that your thoughts are going to create your reality without you having done anything at all to, get them there, you start thinking, okay, if I want money and I have a job where I have no possibility of making more money, then it could be something like, okay, I've got extra clothes. I can sell some of it off on eBay or Depop or whatever they all call all those apps. Maybe it's I can take on a second job. Maybe it is I'm going to create an ebook or an online course on something that I'm really passionate about. And I know a lot of people keep asking me to help them with and charge a little bit. There are endless opportunities when it comes to making money. That was just 3. That was just kind of off the top of my head. But there are so many more other available things. It could even be without necessarily doing any of those steps, listing them out, thinking about what the next step is, taking the inspired action, for instance, to look for another job, even if you're not sure that is the step for you just yet, to look for another job, a higher paid position or something. Everything that is an inspired action that shows intention, to move the next step forward. Okay. This comes back to Islam as well, because when we take inspired action, the things that we want move closer to us, because we're showing that there is an intention. There is it's not just talk, we're doing something for it. And if we're bringing it back to Islam in this case, it's kind of like when God says, and I'm paraphrasing wildly here, so if that is offensive to you, I apologize, but get over yourself. So he says in the Quran, if you take a step towards me, I will run to you. And it's kind of the same way that the law of attraction works, in that the moment you start taking these inspired actions and you start looking for other jobs or looking at houses or pulling out your clothes that you want to sell on Depop, all of a sudden you'll find that money opportunities will come to you as well. And often from situations that you didn't expect, that you didn't know were there. And so this is where it becomes really exciting, because things are starting to take form in reality. So it's no longer just something that you're thinking about. It's something that you're now seeing having a result in your everyday life. The next thing, and I want to kind of put the next 2 together because I've put gratitude and be patient. And those things, I kind of want to put them in one step. So the gratitude part is a huge part of law of attraction, because you cannot manifest from a place of lack. Because if your core belief system is lack, that you lack these things, that you are in need of, that you are poor, that you don't have enough, then what do you think you're going to attract? You're going to attract more of that. Poor, the feeling of not having enough, so on and so forth. So of course, your belief system has to come from a place of gratitude. So even though you're asking for more money, you should always look at your money situation where it stands and still find gratitude for that. Even if you're scraping by, every last penny is being counted and used, look at it in whatever way you have to, where the gratitude is there for what you already have. Again, in Islam, we are being told, God has said to us in the Quran, if you are grateful, I will give you more. He doesn't say, if you ask, I'll give you more. I'm pretty sure he probably, no, I don't actually know. I haven't read that part of the Quran where if he says, if you ask, I'll give you more. But he does answer prayers. And so if I want to paraphrase crudely again, I suppose I could say, if you ask, I'll give it to you. But I'm not, don't hold me on that one. But he definitely says, if you are grateful, I will give you more. So again, speaking right back again to the thing that we now know about the law of attraction, gratitude is such a powerful tool when it comes to the law of attraction. It is actually the driving force probably of the law of attraction. It is one of the things that for me has made the biggest difference when I'm trying to manifest something. It is the level where I can still be grateful for where I am, despite also working towards and wanting more and other things, is to find the gratitude first and foremost. Because once that is there, the belief system will come much easier as well. Because if the gratitude isn't there and you're trying to work on your mindset and you're trying to change your belief system, it's very, very difficult to do if you don't believe that what you have is already enough, even if you want more. Okay, so maybe that was a step on its own, but I'm putting it in with the be patient, because this has to come, or it comes at the same time with you now having done all the other work, where you have to sit back and be patient. and wait for the manifestation to come to you. And this is where people are like, how can I speed it up? How can I want to see it quicker. I don't get the results quick enough. Be patient. It'll come. And again, bringing it back to Islam, because that's what we do here at Manifesting Muslimah. God's timing is perfect. God's plan is perfect. So while you can ask for these things and work towards them and know that they will come to you and that you are worthy and that you deserve it because you've worked on your belief system and that you're grateful for the things you have and you're taking the inspired action, we must never forget that ultimately everything that happens in this world and in the hereafter only happens with the permission of Allah. So, and also, by the way, in His timing, in divine timing. And you have to remember that Allah sees things in a way that we don't. He sees the past, the present, the future, and I don't even know what other dimensions he probably also looks into. Well, it's not probably, he looks into every dimension that there absolutely is. So if there's more than those three, he's looking into that. He's already seen it. He's seen it unfold. He's seen it rewind, fast forwarded, paused. He's skipped a few scenes. He's done all of it. He knows. Trust me, he knows. And he knows exactly when to introduce the manifestation into your life. And sometimes a manifestation can take years to come. It can take years to come. That doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means that it's not the time yet. The desire is the right one. Keep working towards it. But the timing is a little bit later than what you have in mind. And sometimes it is instant. It is instant because God is literally just waiting for you to value yourself enough and then He'll give it to you. That's all sometimes He's asking is just for you to apply yourself. Again, walk towards me or take a step towards me and I'll run to you, right? Just waiting for you to set that intention and work on yourself and take that one step. And all of a sudden you'll just find that your whole world is just like flipped upside down in all the right ways. And that is what is so amazing about trusting that Allah's timing is the correct one and that His plan is the right one. And then being patient with it. And while you're being patient, working on that gratitude. And several times going back while you're working on your gratitude, working on your belief system. And as time goes and you're becoming more and more grateful, you might find that, and changing your belief system, you might find that you actually want to change your goals, not for worse or better, but just adjust it because you might now have a different outset and outlook on what it is that you're actually asking for. So you can be even more precise for the things that you're asking for. And that is the amazing thing about this journey with the law of attraction. This is not a one and done type of thing. Law of attraction and this work is a continual journey. This is something that you have to continuously do every time you want to manifest something different into your life. And even while you're trying to manifest the same thing, you've manifested it before, now you want to try and do it again, you've got to go back and start from the beginning again, assess your life, your belief system, work on it, set the realistic goal, gratitude and patience, trust and have faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's divine timing and plan. We're just going to go through each step real quick. Number one, understand the law of attraction theory and understand how it relates back to Islam and your Muslim lifestyle. That is very important. Number two, understand that you're already using the law of attraction subconsciously. It's just a question now of making it a conscious decision to use it rather than you just kind of going off on autopilot. Number three, assess your life and set realistic goals. Realistic goals. They can scare you. They're allowed to scare you. It's actually even better if they scare you a little, but they have to be realistic for you as well. Number four, assess your belief system around those goals once you've set it and then start working on it. What feelings and thoughts come up for you as soon as you set that goal? And what were the thoughts? What's the belief system that's stuck on that? Start breaking that down, work on it and replace it with something that is better suited and serves you. Then take inspired action, whatever it is that your goal is. Usually there'll be a thought or two where like, oh, I guess I could do this. That's exactly what you're going to do. That's the inspired action. The first thing that comes to mind, do that 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10. That is the correct action that you should be taking. And then finally, we've got gratitude and be patient. So be grateful for what you have while you are working towards more, and then be patient. God's timing and God's plan is much, much better than ours. So trust in His timing and His plan when it is the right time. time, your manifestation will always show up for you. And now I will leave this episode here. So thank you so much for joining me again. I will see you next time. But until then, my dear friend, please don't forget to live in love.